Cool. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the NarikChase channel. I'm your boy NarikChase, and in this video, we're doing another streamlined podcast. This will be technically season 2, episode 97. We are talking about the Halo series. Sorry for the absent, guys. But you got to work and life, and got all these other projects and stuff that's going on. About to finish my book. A lot of other things just happening. Be sure to check out the website. There are a lot of good updates on there, letting audiences and viewers know and followers know that what we got going on. And we'll be dropping more stuff. I was actually working on some music as well. For those who don't know, I have 3 channels now. One dedicated to the music, NarikChase Music. We have the NarikChase Podcast channel, which is what this one on, and we have the NarikChase Studios channel, which is mainly for reviews and skits and stuff like that. So if you're interested in supporting the music channel, go ahead and subscribe to NarikChase Music, subscribe to NarikChase Podcast, and subscribe to NarikChase Studios. Trying to get back on track. There's a lot of stuff that's going on right now, so army on one at this point, but it's all right. It's all right. It's a lot to go to do though. But anyways, let's go ahead and let's talk about Halo, the series. Now, for those who don't know, Halo is one of the most prominent video game franchises in the world. It's been long running, not as long as some of the older ones such as Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, Metroid, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, Donkey Kong. Not as long as them, but for pretty much the last 15 years. No, I'd say longer than that. Since that first Xbox, the original Xbox dropped, Halo is it's been just a name in the video game industry. Not only has it been such a prominent franchise that it's dominated the video game industry, but it's also done delved into other media such as books, comics, film, and now TV. Um, to varying degrees. The books themselves are actually really, really good. They function as proficiently as I would say the Star Wars extended universe does. There's a lot of really interesting stories, a lot of really good characters, but I'm just and I haven't read all the books. I haven't played every game, but I've played the majority of the games, and I've read a few of the books, not all of them, but a few of them. So I'm quite familiar with the franchise. I've read comics, I've seen the other movies and stuff that go on, the miniseries. I think, and so I'm very familiar with the Halo franchise. In fact, it's one of my top 10 favorite franchises of all time. Next to Star Wars. Uh, I come up with that top 10, but Star Wars was definitely one that was on the list as well. Uh, oh, Resident Evil. Resident Evil is another one. Now, it's one of my favorite franchises of all time. Resident Evil, Star Wars, Mortal Kombat, just Super Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog. There's just a lot of, and these are, I'm not just saying franchises because they're video games. It's not just like all around franchises, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto. Uh, but so, having said all that, I'm quite familiar with the franchise. Now, I am a huge fan, but I can forgive a few liberties here and there because I'm still the same guy that was like, okay, the Resident Evil films with Mila Jovovich, and I love her as an actress. I think she's really good in a lot of action roles, and I liked her in those movies as well. I think the movies are entertaining. They're dumb as shit. They don't make any fucking sense. They're plot holes out the ass. Not the best casting for some of the more familiar characters, Chris Redfield, Leon. Now, Ciela Guillory as Jill Valentine, I liked her. She's probably the best cast of anyone in the movies. I think she did a good job as the original Jill Valentine from Resident Evil 3 and Jill Valentine from Resident Evil 5. I think she did a really good job as those. But aside from going to the next step of that, what I was saying was I can forgive a few liberties. Like I said, as far as the Resident Evil films, the reason why I can kind of get past them, look past a lot of the bullshit surrounding those movies, is basically because uh, it's basically because they're entertaining. yeah, frustrating, stupid, badly written, badly acted, badly edited, badly directed, but they're freaking entertaining. There are a lot of like fun, great moments. Like I could do a top 10 list right now talking about how like some of the best moments from the series is. That just shows you just how entertained I was with it. And some of them ideas they had, even though they were stupid, were interesting in directions for the series to go and interesting takes and things like that. So I didn't really mind that. But Halo has been subject of a lot of debate in terms of adapting because of the source material, because of the main characters, the themes, the budget that need to be behind it to make sure that it is properly done. And and I and I like I said I'm on the fence about so much about this series. It just got me so freaking frustrated because again, a part of me wants to just try to defend some of the decisions that are made in this series, and I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't. I have to call it the way it is. Like Resident Evil, stupid movies. They're just entertaining. This series was just I have no idea. And before I continue on with it, guys, be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and I forgot the freaking button now. The little link button to let you know when I upload videos, so that way when I do upload them, get first notice of that. Let me go ahead and hit this because I guess it's been that long. I forgot to do this. It has been. It feels like it has been quite a while because I forgot to do some of the stuff that I normally would do a few minutes ago. But anyways, just go ahead and get into it. Now the series is set in the Silver timeline, which is a new original timeline for Halo's for this original work, I suppose. I mean, it's not original, but the developers created a new timeline, the Silver timeline. Now, of course, there's in the Halo franchise have different timelines. We have the pre Covenant War, where it was basically the insurrectionists versus the UNSC. Then you have the Covenant War. Then you have the Forerunner Saga, which picks up after the events of the Covenant War, after Halo 3, in which you see more like the Prometheans and stuff like that. Then you have the Forerunner Human War, which it jumps back into the past. So you can see what builds up to basically the flood, how the flood was created, the Forerunners and stuff like that. So in this one, it's basically just taking place during the first event, the initial startup of the Human Covenant War. And the way it's kind of shot is it has to be in the early stages of it to some extent because even though the military faction know of the Covenant's existence and everything, a lot of the insurrectionists, the characters really don't. So I guess it's during the initial startup of the Covenant War, or maybe like a few years into it, and it's interesting, kind of the setup. But anyways, the series, of course, follows a few characters. You would think it would just pretty much follow Master Chief, but it follows a few characters. Insurrectionist's daughter, who's trying to reclaim her family's legacy after her family gets wiped out by the Covenant. You have the Master Chief, who is trying to, I guess, find his humanity after being exposed to this artifact, this special artifact, which he damn near seems to be the only person to deal with next to this other human character named Maki, who is a human character that was raised by the Covenant. There are other things, but those are pretty much the three main storylines that's going on in the series. Now, there's a few things that the series does do right, and I can give it that. There's a couple of things that I did really appreciate. For one, the Spartans, the look of them, the feel of them, just the practical aspect of them looks freaking awesome when they're walking. The footsteps feel very heavy. The way they maneuver in the suits make it seem like the suits are not. too heavy to where they can't maneuver in them, but they look heavy. Uh, the look and feel of them, the impacts, that just looks absolutely awesome. The designs of them, highly detailed, very just the creative look behind them. They fit, and also the way that they look has that special quality to them to make them seem like they're reflecting the personality of the person that's wearing it. Really enjoy just straight up the look of them. Also, when you look at like the UNSC, the uniforms of the soldiers, the warthogs, the weapons, the vehicles, just pretty much everything that they've done with the physical and special effects concerning the overall look looks freaking fantastic. And that even goes extends itself over to like the Covenant when you see the elites, the brute, the grunts and stuff. Yeah, I can say some of the CGI is spotty here and there with those characters, but overall they still look really, really, really good, really fantastic. There are some really good shots, close-up shots too, of some of the elites. I would say hands down the best that they did with the Covenant overall were the prophets. The prophets look extremely well done. It looks extremely realistic. Their attention to detail is just on point. So visually, the practical, the special effects, all of that stuff, I can go ahead and give it to the series. It completely nails it. Even I know people had a big issue with, but even Cortana, I even love. I like Cortana. I think Cortana's is a great character. I think she is freaking awesome. I think that the look of her is pretty cool. I know a lot of people were just put off because of just the way she looks and everything. I think I think it's a good evolution of the character because if you think about it, when you look at the other characters, when you look at her, she evolves, she changes her look pretty much every video game. So I think this is actually pretty cool, and the human aspect of it looks pretty cool as well. So I have no problem with the Cortana aspect as well. Um, Again, and probably the biggest plus to the series that makes it feel like Halo, which I'm quite sure you've heard plenty of times from other people, is the action sequences. There are three major battles in this episode and the series. First episode, I believe, the fifth episode, and the final episode, where you just see human slash Spartan on Covenant battles, and they are just epic. They're brutal. They're fast paced. They're destructive. They're everything that you want to see in a Halo film, television, miniseries, limited series, whatever capacity, even in the video games. The battles are just awesome, and and probably some of the best battles I've seen in television. And I've seen quite a few like shows, sci-fi shows with big battles. I mean, I feel like I can equate this to like the battles with like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones battles, when you look at them and you see look back on more adventure or fantasy shows, and you compare the battles to those, yeah, you can see how it's big, brutal, and all of that is. Not quite down. That's not to say there's not other ones with really good battle sequences like that too, or even better ones. But as far as I've seen, and just the battle sequences are definitely hands down the absolute best that they could possibly be in this series. They are freaking fantastic, and honestly, if somebody cut those three battle sequences out and put them on the YouTube or something, I download it. I would watch it all the time. They just are freaking fantastic and just so well done. Just so just destructive, the shit that we want to see in Halo. But having said that, there's a lot that this series does wrong, and I say it's a lot. It is a damn lot. First, one of the things I could say it has a problem with is the identity politics. They push it. They push it. Most of the One of the things that they push and is this whole thing of feminizing or delegating the, I guess you could say, masculine traits of the male characters and propping up a lot of the female characters, making the female characters more vocal, more smarter, more competent, and the male characters to be less competent, have less of a spine, have less of a backbone. The female character, a lot of the female characters, which is kind of weird the way that they play it off in. And much, I'm not saying that female characters can't hold a power position, but when you watch the series, you see that power position is not like earned or anything. Is there simply to showcase women being pushed to the forefront rather than be having an authentic feel to the character. You look at Parangoski; she is literally one of the most wasted characters in this series. She does not hold any weight to her character. I don't believe for 1 second that her character is the admiral of the UNSC. She doesn't have any commanding presence. She doesn't have any weight behind her voice or anything. She's so unsure. When things happen, she doesn't know what to do. And there has not been any moment I don't think I've seen in the series so far that shows that she's just a competent leader. Most of the time, you see Parangoski, she's scheming against Halsey's character, and that's it. That's her thing, just to be completely antagonistic. If you look at Maki's character with the Covenant don't give two shits about humans. They play humans. They fucking hate humans. They wipe out humans first chance they get. And it's an interesting storyline there for Maki's character. Yeah, a character being raised within the the Covenant ranks to use as a sleeper agent to infiltrate the UNSC and stuff like that. That makes sense. It's actually a really good, effective story, but the way it's done here, it just doesn't really make any sense. And then the thing about it is she's a female character, so she's sitting here again, commanding all of these brutes and elites that actually fucking hate humans, So there's that, and then Kwan's character, and then if you look at the character that she's interacting with. Um, a lot of them are strong female characters. There's an assassin that shows up. That's a woman that just whoops these two guys' ass out the blue. So there's this group of Amazon chicks led by, like the whole identity thing is, and then also they race swapped a couple of characters that don't make any fucking sense for them to have done. They just typically did it to check off boxes, and you can plainly see it clear as day. It's not like for instance, Danny Sapani plays Keys, and Olive Gray plays Miranda. Olive Gray looks like she's mixed. Of course, Halsey's white. Keys is black, at least in this version. And of course, they had to do interracial couple with it, and it did absolutely nothing to contribute to the characters, nothing to contribute to the story, nothing to contribute to the performances. It's literally just a fucking waste of time. And the person that thought that was a good idea should be punched in the damn throat. Now, that's not to say that these Sapani and Gray couldn't have played other characters, because I personally think Sapani would have played a really good Sergeant Avery Johnson, who is one of the most prominent characters in the freaking series next to Keys, and who actually lasted a little bit longer, lived a little bit longer, made it to the third game. Keys died in the first game. You know what I'm saying? So why wouldn't Sapani play that character? But anyways, I have no idea what is this. Thank you. I don't know what this is. But anyways, so having said that, I've been considering heavily about this, what they could have done to potentially done a better job with this series. I personally don't think they could have really did much of anything, because it's just been such a shit show with how they portrayed everything, how the characters and stuff moved, how the characters acted, what their actual overall contributions were to the series. Another thing that I know a lot of people got annoyed at, and it's the fact that the Master Chief whose anonymity comes from the fact, and his personality comes from the fact that he doesn't take his mask off. And it takes a certain amount, a certain personality, a certain character, a certain type of writer to be able to portray a character, give them personality, make them likable, make them interesting, make them competent without them moving their fucking helmet. And Master Chief is definitely one of those characters. And I don't want to make I don't want to jump too far into it, but just to go back and look at the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, the character was actually a very interesting character, a very well written character, a very competent character, and you can see it through his actions, even though he didn't take off his freaking helmet. Well, in this one, he takes his helmet off constantly, 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 constantly. It makes no sense the way that the character has just been what they did with this character. With him taking his freaking helmet off every 5 seconds, it didn't make any sense. And like literally, when he this is how bad he is with taking his helmet off. He will literally put his helmet on, walk 5 feet, and take it right back off. And I'm not lying. He literally does that. That just shows you this. They just trying too hard to try to humanize this character, which is weird because if you go to the games, if you look at the games, you can see that you can see the humanity bleeding through the character as the series continues. You see that it picks, especially in part four. Part four is definitely the biggest uh, the biggest arc in terms of delving into who the Master Chief is as a character, as a person, as a Spartan, what direction that you want to just label as a Marine, as a soldier. You see that the humanity within the character bleeds through, especially again with the relationship he has with Cortana. And that's another thing that I think that this series completely misses the mark on is through Kitana. I almost said Katana, the same Mortal Kombat. Through Cortana, does he find and rediscover that the humanity within him? And it's, you know what I'm saying? So it's their relationship that actually explores that a bit more. Yes, if you read the books and stuff, you see more of his personality when he's dealing with other soldiers, when he's dealing with the other Spartans, particularly the Spartans that he's close to, the squad. But there's a certain amount of uh, I guess you could say something within the relationship between him and Cortana, which is like a pseudo romantic, but pseudo partnership. I don't know what the specific words is, but the special relationship that he has with Cortana delves into that. Whereas you can also see that that same thing happens with Cortana as well. Much of her humanity is brought out through the Master Chief as well. So I really like that in the games. In the show, it is not done right in the slightest. Now let's just go ahead and just go down the cast. The casting, fucking atrocious. Really, the only person that they did a really good job with is Gene Taylor, who voices Cortana, returning as Cortana. It's great seeing her. She has the mannerisms on lock. She, of course, speaks like her. I've already said I like the way she looks. So I have no problem with Cortana. Now I will say this: they even show how she's created, which I thought was really cool. It was a really brutal and messed up scene. Don't get me wrong, but it was actually pretty cool. And I didn't really have an issue with that. Now the story around Cortana does not make any fucking sense. Um, I guess I could go ahead and just jump into the spoilers while we're talking about it. But Halsey designed Cortana to take over Master Chief's body so she can be the next evolution of humanity, having this peak superhuman condition with a computer mind, being like, yeah, the next step is evolution of humanity. And I have a lot of freaking questions concerning that too, because in a game, it was good to have Cortana around, but for like tactical, strategic reasons, traveling ship, being able to contact other people, hacking, just basically being like the handler for the squad, the ship, the unit, whatever it is, communications, things like reconnaissance and stuff like that. And this one, not so much. I mean, yes, she's given like the whole UNSC, the whole library of information and stuff, but just like in this universe, AI aren't a thing. In the games, they are, and the military uses them to pilot ships, to help their units in battle, to keep stock of what's going on and stuff like that. They use them throughout the military. It isn't one, but in this one, the AI they don't have AI. Cortana is literally the only one, which I think is freaking weird. I think it would have made more sense had. That's what I'm saying. The silver timeline kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't make sense because it's a different story, and this is one of those liberties. But I'm like, how can she pretty much be the first one? And it's not like she has like glitches or anything like that. She literally just functions. She functions as if she was what ain't a prototype. So like she is like the fifth generation and they mastered everything. So I don't know. I don't freaking know. I don't freaking know. I like I like the portrayal, the look, and the sound of her, but the story around it is fucking dumb. And then just the whole thing between her and Chief in this series is fucking atrocious. Everybody abuses her. She is like the only character that has like common sense, that has like a good personality, that isn't a complete asshole. She ain't an asshole at all, actually. But everybody else, most of the other characters, is freaking just trash. If you look at Halsey, she's an asshole. If you look at Master Chief, he's a fucking asshole. He treats Cortana like shit in this series to the point I'm like, what the? She even, and the thing is, she tries to be his friend. She tries to help him out, tries to give him good advice, and I still don't understand why. Like by the end of the series, I guess they're friends. You start, but at the same time, you're like, there is no reason that she should care about this guy. He's a piece of shit. He he's overly emotional. He's unfucking stable. Which that Master Chief character is just they completely assassinated this character up in there. For some, they had a character that was tough, that was confident, that was smart, resourceful, that was reserved, that was just fucking badass, and they just ripped this character apart and just. And I get that they're trying to explore the John path. It's kind of like when you watch Batman, and you have the Batman movie, you have the Batman persona, then you have the Bruce Wayne persona, and you're like most of the time you see Master Chief, he's the Master Chief persona. You don't see the man beneath the mask. There is a story to be told with that as well, but the way that this show does it is fucking trash. I do not. By the end of the first episode, I was done with the character. He's overly emotional. He's fucking stupid. He's immature. The whole storyline with him and his stupid artifact is just garbage. I have no idea. He's just overly whiny. He literally just stupid. It's not the Master Chief. And again, I'm trying to be objective. Like, okay, I know the Master Chief in the games is completely badass. Just like in the Batman comic. I read the comic. Batman's badass. He has his vulnerabilities, but he's a badass character. He's competent. And I'd hate to read a comic of him just fucking whining and crying and just bitching and moaning, just acting stupid. And that's what you get here in this series. And even if you could take it out, even if you try to separate it from him being the Master Chief character, just say he's just a badass soldier. He's still fucking trash as a character. As a soldier, you should be more reserved with your actions, be a little bit more thoughtful before you do stuff. In this series, he just acts like a big ass fucking spoiled child. Everything he does is stupid. Everything he says is stupid. And I get, um, you know, for those who don't know about the UNSC, um, with the Spartan program, they did some pretty unethical stuff. They kidnapped kids, replaced them with clones, and they basically indoctrinated kids to be soldiers. They beat them. They taught them how to kill, how to fight, how to survive, augmented them. That way they become super soldiers. A lot of them didn't make it because of the augmentation, because of the mental strains. Some killed themselves, some went away. But out of I forgot what the number was, but I think by the time they had enough Spartans to actually be successful, that actually had successful Spartans, I think it dropped down to like a third of the candidates. But and even then, in the comics and stuff, they handle it a bit better because in this show, this man finds out about his past. He found out when he was 6, he was kidnapped and brought into the Spartan program. And if he was a regular person, I could possibly see him reacting somewhat similar to what's going on here. But as a seasoned veteran with over 20 years of military experience, uh, which this is going to lead to my next point, he reacts like a fucking kid. He throws fits. He doesn't ask the tough questions. He doesn't sit there and try to figure out, okay, let me talk to her. I mean, he eventually has the conversation, but initially you would get the moment, you would have, I could understand the moment of shock. You're like, oh, this shit, this did happen. Okay. But then you would sit there and be like, okay, I got to talk to Halsey about this. Because the way the show puts it is Halsey is basically at fault for all of it. I mean, she created the Spartan program. She wanted to kidnap the kids. She did all this. None of the other UNSC higher ups know about it, basically, the way the show plays off. Now I'm like, in the source material, all this was green lit all the way to the top. So even though she could have gotten trouble, how she would have gotten trouble for it wouldn't make any sense because there were other people that were responsible. Which again, that does play out in the books and the games and stuff. But the way that a lot of it goes is like all of this. She basically created the Spartans with no oversight, which is bullshit because she couldn't have got the resources and the laboratory and all of the time and money needed to do it unless she had some form of oversight and they knew about everything that she fucking did. So, and then another thing that doesn't really make any sense with the Master Chief character in this series is he's been indoctrinated since he's 6. And I want to say he's like 30. He looks like he's about in his 30s. I think that's about a fair age. Well, anyways, he gets over his 20 something years of indoctrination within like the first fucking episode, first or second episode. And I'm like, that's not how indoctrination works. When he, which doesn't make sense because okay, there's two layers to it. On the one hand, he has the 20 something years of being mentally indoctrinated into UNSC, into the Spartan program. That's one thing he has to fight. And then later on, to make it convenient for the fucking writers because they're idiots and they don't know how, you know, indoctrination works, they try to reduce it to him having this emotional chip thing or whatever chip that they had placed in his back to suppress his emotions and shit like that. And I'm like, years of experience in the military teaches you how to suppress your emotions. Why would you need a fucking chip? Well, the chip basically takes away your freedom of thought and emotions and shit like that. You won't question shit if somebody asks you to do it and stuff like that. And I'm like, couldn't that chip idea just not been a thing and generally have something happen that has him questioning what's going on? One of the biggest examples is if you watch uh, The Force Awakens. And I know a lot of people don't like that film. I do. I'm one of the few that like the trilogy. I do have my reasons, even though there's a lot of shit that they did wrong. But if you watch it, Finn is a stormtrooper, indoctrinated since he was a kid, and it's revealed throughout his when he's talking that when they're sitting here slaughtering innocent people and stuff, that it's starting to affect him negatively. It bothers him, and this isn't something that happens one time and he just changes. No, it's something that he's dealt with for a while. So couldn't that been a thing? There would have been a bit more dramatic flair to it, because this is why I say it doesn't make any sense, because he's still indoctrinated. In the first episode, there they say kill this little girl, Quan, who is an insurrectionist, the daughter of this insurrectionist general. And since Quan doesn't want to play ball with the UNSC because she hates them that much, despite the fact that the fucking Covenant came and wiped out our whole settlement, they say kill her. I mean, they could have did a whole bunch of fucking things that would have been a hell of a lot smarter than trying to kill this girl. But okay, fine. So Master Chief says he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't feel like, that's a good move to do. And I'm like, he even goes as far as to defy, people on top and escape with the girl and everything. And I'm like, well, he did all of that before he removed his chip. And I think he did all that before he even knew he had a fucking chip. So what was the point of the chip? If he was this whole indoctrination thing, like if him not wanting to kill his girl could have started him on the path of breaking that indoctrination, would make sense. Yeah, but then he had the chip. So I'm like, so what the fuck is the point of the chip? Just something stupid. It's just straight up stupid. And like I said, maybe it wouldn't be so bad if he kept his fucking helmet on. But most of the time, you don't see Max Chief. You see John, this poorly written fucking character that sucks, always taking off his fucking mask, which is stupid because when he keeps the mask on, it feels like Chief. He takes it off, he just, ugh, just a fucking suck ass character. So I don't like his character. In fact, on my ranker, I think I put him as either a 1 or a 2, 1 being the worst. But I don't like him. I really don't like him. Halsey, her character seems almost perfect, perfectly aligned with her character in the games and the books and stuff, the source material. But the problem with her character is, in this one, she just turned into a fucking mad scientist. And I'm talking about, she seems like that mad scientist that sit her ass at the, like she'll create something just, I am God. She's like on that level of mental instability in this fucking show. They do have some moments of clarity with the character where you're like, okay, yeah, she seems all right. This is a nice scene with her. You get to see the humanity behind the madness. But most of the time, they just make her this complete caricature. Now, look, in the actual lore, yes, she was there, wanted to advance humanity. Yes, she wanted to help humanity defend itself from the Covenant. Yes, she wanted to explore more of the lore concerning the Forerunners and everything. But she still had a level head about it. She's just fucking crazy. And then her relationship with the Chief is just such bullshit. And the fact that they're saying again that she designed Cortana to take over the Master Chief's body, which this is my question for that. It's already proven that you can't clone people. Well, the AI I'm on the fence about. I know I said earlier they don't have any AI, but I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. I'll reserve judgment for that. I don't think they have AI. I think Cortana was actually the only AI that they had. But they said human cloning was a no-no. I'm like, okay, makes sense. Halsey clones humans. She actually clones illegally. Okay. She was responsible for the Spartans being augmented, being stronger, faster, more capable combatants. But the problem is, and she designed Cortana to take over Master Chief's body to become the ultimate human. So my question is, why the fuck she just didn't clone him and then give Cortana his body, that clone's body? Why don't you clone a shit ton of Spartans and then have her just take over the bodies? Don't that make more sense? She's already shown she can get too. She's about killing a person because when she created Cortana, she had to kill her own clone to do it. Fucking dumb. Trying to make Master Chief this the chosen one, which I don't like the fact that they did that. But yeah, the Quan story, this insurrection, this little girl, uh, is okay. It's okay. The problem is because of the way the series is made, and I think a lot of these stories that they have within the series would have worked out better if the series was a fucking anthology. Each episode was a different story. And I think that would have worked a lot better instead of this bullshit ass silver timeline. They could have just had an anthology. They could have just wowed out with an anthology. Went to all of these different areas, and it could have been, they could have used the same lore. They could have been creative with it and did some interesting shit. Like read Halo Evolutions. One of the stories in it features um, what happens after the Halo. This human crew, goes to this ship, and they find out that the ship has Covenant on it. But the Covenant are scared because on the ship there's the flood. So the humans and the Covenant have to work together to escape the flood outbreak on that ship. And this happens right after the first Halo game. Good ass fucking story. There's another comic where there's this group of UNS, these Spartans, or no, the ODST, I think. I think the ODST. They might be, no, okay. One of them was ODST, the other story was Spartans. The ODST in going somewhere, and then the Covenant are there as well. And these creatures, I think they're actually Forerunner technology, end up kidnapping some of the Covenant and kidnapping some of the UNSC. So again, the Covenant and UNSC have to work together to get to free them. And that by the end, I think they actually go their separate ways. And they're doing so. There's stories that could be told like that, isolated little stories. You know what I mean? And this is what I wrote. This is what the anthology could have been, and would have probably been a lot better. Um, Covenant attack the insurrections camp. That could have been a good episode. The the build up to it, when it happens, and the fallout. That could have been a good episode. Uh, the Master Chief story is they his backstory is they end up finding he ends up finding this artifact, which becomes the point of contention for much of the show. Okay, what if you just had a small town, a family that lives in the countryside, and they find it? That could have been an interesting episode. What do they do? What do they discover? You know, how does it affect them? That could have been an interesting story. Soren's story about how when he got augmented, it fucked him up, and then he tried to blow up the UNSC out of frustration and the influence of an insurrectionist that had infiltrated, and then was lost in the woods for lost in the woods. He was hunted while he was in the woods and stuff. Good story. That would have been a great story. They 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 in this version, Soren was like, "Well, I don't want to be indoctrinated no more. I Master Chief as lead." And I'm like, well, you just broke the indoctrination. You didn't explain what happened to make you break that indoctrination. They didn't explain what happened to him after he left. I mean, they said, yeah, he crashed and he was trying to survive for months and stuff, but we would have liked to have seen that. That could have been a good story. Another one, the end fight where the Spartans go to the temple to retrieve the artifact. That could have been a good story for them going there to potentially either retrieve the artifact or to kill one of the prophets because the prophets were there. That could have been a good Spartan-based story of them infiltrating that. You could have had a moment right here, right now, where take the moment where Master Chief is with Quan and they're trying to escape pursuers, change the pursuers from the UNSC, or might even be the Master Chief, make it be a Spartan. Hell, don't have to be a Spartan, it could be a fucking soldier, and they could be trying to outrun Covenant forces, or this soldier ends up kidnapping a high-ranking insurrection general, and he's trying to evade the other insurrections. That would have been a good episode. There's a moment where Quan and Soren end up having to fight this guy named Vichner or something like that. It's a complete waste of characters. Fucking asshole for no reason. On the planet or whatever. And they take him down in this big, you know. So it's like, okay, that could have been an episode of insurrectionists versus insurrectionists, or insurrections versus insurrectionists sell out to the UNSC. That could have been an interesting episode. How Cortana was created. That was fucking awesome. That's one of the best sequences in the series. But just like the talk about it, the build up of creating the AI, creating clones, what I'm saying, I would have liked to see more of that. But that moment was actually pretty cool, and probably would have been better a bit more had there been more Halsey talking about the moral dilemma of doing this and the process of doing it, and is it a good idea? That would have been a good story to help feed into that. And then you got the battle on Aradenus, the second fight in episode 5, I believe. Instead of the Spartans being there kicking ass, let Keyes show how competent a fucking leader he is and lead the UNSC forces and the ODSD to fight the fucking Covenant. Because as much as I do like the fact that the Spartans were in that fight, Keyes didn't get a fucking moment, and he's a hardened veteran too. The soldiers fucking sucked ass. So it would have been nice to have seen Keyes step the fuck up and had his actual moment. And then if you want to go with the Maquis character being raised in the Covenant force by the Covenant, that could have been an interesting episode to explore as well. This girl gets kidnapped by the Covenant for some reason. Maybe they experiment on her. Maybe they're trying to indoctrinate her. Maybe they're just like fucking around and just torturing people. That could have just been a good story to explore. So the way that they've done this is just like I said, I think it would have worked a bit better if it was an anthology. They could have stuck to their guns. They would have made more sense for some of the episodes to be less budgeted than the other ones. It would have helped the monotony of these characters and all this bullshit drama that's been. Because one of the arcs is Keyes and Halsey are Miranda's parents. And Miranda is kind of close to her dad in this, but she tries so damn hard to get acknowledgement from her mom. It's just fucking ridiculous what they do with this girl. Because in the lore, Halsey is as distant as she is in the show, but Miranda follows in her father's footsteps, becoming a commander herself. So she's more reserved. She's smart. She's resourceful. That same qualities you see from her father, she possesses them, making her a very strong and competent character. If you want to go with the female character, strong and competent lead female character. One of my favorite characters throughout the whole fucking series because she's that badass character. But in this one, she's overly emotional. She's fucking whiny. She's immature. And don't get me wrong, Olive Gray is just a beautiful woman. I would holler at her in a second. But I do. But as far as her being cast as Miranda, no, terrible, terrible. Not only does she not, I'm sorry, she's look mixed. I don't know if she's black. I don't know if she's mixed. She's one, the wrong color. Two, just the performance, the way the character is written. Because maybe if the character was written to be better, she could actually pull it off. I don't know about her, what she does. I don't know. I haven't seen any of the shit that she's been in. So she's just overly whining the whole time. She's trying to, which is weird because I don't know. I don't know if anybody else picked this up. In the lore, actual lore, she follows in the footsteps of her father because she's close to her father, and her father may have raised her. In this one, I think her father had raised her, but she's following the footsteps of her mom, and it goes back, I think, to dinner politics. I'm like, that can't be coincidence. That in this side of it, she's following the footsteps of her mom, but in this side of it, She following. I mean, in this side of she following the footsteps of her dad. In this side, she's following to the footsteps of her mom. And it's like, okay, we already got this female centric show going on, and you playing identity politics already. So is this a part of it? Why couldn't she be more like Keys, reserved, smart, competent? And it's bullshit because there's only two instances I've seen in the season where Halsey has, again, going back to the lore, and this is where it kind of gets a little closer. Halsey does care about Miranda. And there's two instances that happen in the series that actually showcases that she does care about her. But the whole time, Miranda, her whole thing is she just wants her mom to acknowledge it. And I'm like, guys, look, I get it, but damn. But she just whining. And it just, ugh. Every time I seen her on the screen, she just start talking. And I'm looking at this wondering, and maybe it's just me, but I'm like, how the fuck are you? What was she? Is she a scientist, a high-ranking scientist in the military? One, I didn't see no scientific capability about her at all. Halsey, I can say, oh, like, yeah, she's a scientist. I can see why. This girl, no, I don't believe it. No, hell no. I don't even see her being a fucking help. I don't see why she was in there. I honestly don't believe. And to her to be like a scientist, like the head of the scientists or whatever, her own division or department or whatever, I don't fucking buy that. Stop selling me that shit. I'm not buying. I am not buying that. Again, beautiful woman, but gosh, terribly casted. I gotta say this again. And I said earlier, I gotta say this again. Be sure that hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button. Y'all remember that now. So y'all can get the best of what we got going on here. Hit that damn notification and that like button. But I'll say this again. Sapani, dude, you would have been a badass fucking Sergeant Avery Johnson. Keys, Johnson, yeah. I would have liked you like better with that character. Now I think that they said that they're going to go ahead and they greenlit a season 2. So it's like, okay, is Avery Johnson going to show up? And is Avery Johnson? I hate to say Johnson because I always think of perverted stuff when I say that. So, um, is Johnson? Is he going to? I'm saying AJ. Is AJ going to be in the second season? And if so, is he going to be black or white? I think with this series, just ultimately, really the visual aspect of it is what carries it. The action sequences are good. Seeing like the warthog, seeing the weapons, the suits, the armors, the aliens, the worlds and stuff like that is just are cool. It's cool. But beneath that, the performances really aren't much to run home about. Although there's some do better than others. I like Jean Taylor as Cortana. I think she does a really good job. Natasha, I don't know what this lady's name is. McElwain, I don't know. She does a good job as Halsey. Don't like the direction Halsey goes, but I could say, hey, she does a good job as Halsey. She does seem a little too young to be the character. Instead of her looking like the Master Chief mom, she looks like Master Chief girlfriend. So I don't buy it. The casting is a little bit questionable on that as well. Also, I didn't give credit to these people, but I'm gonna give it to them now. The people that played the other 3 Spartans, Mia, what was that? Mia. Oh, it's Riz, Vatic, and Kai. Those 3 were fucking awesome. I really enjoyed them, especially Kai's character too, because she seemed to be did a bit smarter with her because she doesn't see herself finding out that Chief is, losing, is not indoctrinated no more. So she kind of follows his footsteps. But the way she does it feels more natural, feels better. Doesn't She's not stupid. She's not going out the way doing the dumb shit that he's doing, and which is crazy because you know what? It was a fucking battle. I got to bring this up. It was a lot of horse shit. In the second fight, at this point, her and Chief they broke the indoctrination. They removed the chips, so they're basically human. She finds out she does it, and he's like, "Well, you're not fit for duty." And I'm like, "What the fuck? She ain't done none of the shit that you've done," which doesn't make any sense because he should have been in jail for some of the stuff that he did. He broke protocol. He threatened a superior officer. He disobeyed superior officer several fucking times. Put one in fucking danger. Damn near killed one. I went to assault, like the list of shit that this dude did. He probably would have been court martial. But I get to that, like, well, he's like the face of like the soldiers. Like, no, fuck that. You could have tied his hands or something to where he couldn't do shit or something. He literally faced no consequences for his for his any of his actions in the series. But anyways, at this point, both of them have been in numerous battles, both against the Covenant and against human insurrections. So they've had 20 plus years of experience in the military. She broke the indoctrination, he broke the indoctrination. The fight starts between the UNSC and the Covenant. Pretty badass fucking battle, one of the best. And she sees some soldiers get killed, and then she starts breaking down. And I'm like, they try to play it off as, okay, because she's not indoctrinated no more, she actually feels emotion. So when she sees people get killed, it affects her. But I'm like, even past that shit, she's had 20 plus years of experience. And if you want to be generous, okay, we'll say 10 years of, let's say 10 years of fighting, Covenant and humans. That experience alone would teach you to be more reserved in the fight. So that way you wouldn't break down. And then after the fight, you break down. Yeah. It'd be different if this was a soldier first going into battle and seeing all of this. Like, no, she's been in battle. Well, even if she does break the indoctrination, she still has that skill set, that experience. It doesn't just turn off because they try to make it seem like because they're not robots that's what's going to happen. I'm like, that's bullshit. And if that's the case, then why the Master Chief didn't do it? So I didn't like that. That did piss me off. But and even with the storyline with the stupid artifact, fucking dumb. For some reason, he can touch the artifact and shit only happen. And they try to make it seem like it's just like deep shit. You're like, okay, well, he's seeing like the beginning of the universe. He's seeing like the forerunners and stuff like that. He's seeing the the quantum physics and all of this stuff. No, he sits there, touches the artifact, and just gets his memories back of when he was 6, of which most of us don't fucking remember. So I'm like, gosh. So the whole artifact thing didn't really make any sense either. And what its place was in to what it meant. You know what I mean? What the purpose of it was. You think an artifact will lead them to the Halo. It doesn't. And even with like Maki's character, it's not like she touched the Halo and then she saw the same fucking thing. When she touches it, it turns to a fucking weapon. Just ugh. But yeah, but if I could say that the worst thing about this show is it's gotta be the writing. A lot of the characters, portrayals, the storylines, all of that could have been done better. And even then, I said with the anthology series, I mapped out some shit, and it was much better. Just the writing wanted to include all of the stupid ass human drama that nobody gave a fuck about. Hello, I mean, like I said, in the series, is there drama? Yes. Is there a lot of shit going on between the human characters? Yes. Is there the bullshit going on with the war? and the insurrectionists and stuff like that. Yes, there is, but it was all the shit that was in this series. Just felt like I was watching CW. Just a bunch of bullshit. Nobody gave a fuck about in the slightest. And it's crazy because I'm more open about stuff like that. Like with the whole uh, thing with Halsey and Paragosky. Okay, I was actually interested. I was interested in that. See a bit more power play of what's going on beside the UNSC. Seeing more of what the UNSC and insurrectionist war was like, the propaganda, how people actually like there's this authoritative government going on against people that don't want it. Like I like stuff like that because it gives so much depth to the backdrop of the main story and stuff. It gives depth to storylines, to different characters and stuff. But just the way that this show does it, fucking atrocious. Sucks. Sucks ass. Just a bunch of meaningless drama. So I would honestly, I would say don't watch this. It's a terrible Halo show, and it's just a bad show altogether because, like I said, the writing is just fucking atrocious. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense, and that's the thing about it. I have a great rating system. I have several. I have a special rating system. If and it's rated in two ways. One, if you are themed or based on some lore or something, if it works, that's one thing. And if it doesn't work, is it entertaining? Kind of like if you can watch a comedy, the comedy might not be funny. It might fail at being funny, but if it's still an entertaining watch, good. This one ain't a good Halo show, and it ain't a good show at all. It ain't an entertaining show at all. It's frustrating as fucking dumb. Y'all want to see hear more of my thoughts about it though? Check out the website. I did review all of the episodes. So for season one. And if there is a season two coming, I will probably be ranting and raving how stupid that is too. Although I will try to give it a shot because they do have room to improve. They're probably not. But I'm gonna call it here. This is it for my review of Halo, the series. In the comment section below, guys, let me know what are your thoughts. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you agree with any of my points? How could it have been better? Are you looking forward towards a season two? And if so, what can they do to make the show much better? And also, do you think Pablo? In fact, give me your thoughts about the casting because I thought it was pretty bad aside from Cortana. But anyways, definitely catch you guys later. Hope y'all enjoyed the view. Be sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and notification button to get the best what we got going on this channel. And catch you guys later.